There we are. Welcome to the live stream. We did it. Let's get Instagram Live going here real quick. So look at my phone and checking connection, and it's going to let us in. There we are. Instagram is live. Welcome to the Instagram Live. Welcome to the YouTube Live. My name is Chris, and we're going to do a little Friday deal for this week in marketing. So welcome. So I've been doing this for, a couple months now, just kind of practicing. It's really the way I look at it is, I'm just kind of practicing being in front of the camera and running through content. Over the last couple of months, I've really refined how I'm finding content. I think that the stuff I'm finding is juicier and juicier as I go along, and I'm getting better at rolling through it. So it's a little bit less boring, and I think a little more informational and fun. So we're only going to get better. If you're on Instagram or anywhere really, and I'm doing a live, sometimes I do it on Instagram, sometimes I do it on Twitter or Facebook Live or whatever. The YouTube has me with a screen share. So I flip back and forth between my browser and myself on YouTube, and that'll probably help you keep up with the stuff that I'm talking about. You'll at least be able to see some of the news headlines and things like that I look at. But, I pretty much talk through everything, so you can hear it as well. My goal eventually with this is to turn it into like a podcast. I'd like to do audio. I like audio the best. But I'm not quite there yet. I think I need to probably learn a little bit more about how podcasts are distributed, but I think that I'm headed that direction. So I think probably during the podcast too, I'll film and do that sort of thing as well. Maybe do like a video, like a live. I like doing the YouTube live while doing this, but I like the idea of the podcast because you can listen to it anywhere. You can be in the car, you could be doing whatever, and that's where I find myself listening to audio content and absorbing the most is when I'm doing that stuff like at the gym or that sort of thing. So that's the direction we're headed, I think. But for now, we're just going to keep doing this, and we're having a beer. It's Beer Friday. Busting out the Belching Beaver peanut butter milk stout. I do this. This isn't the first time I've had this one on the broadcast. I think this was like the second or third beer I had, but we have it a lot around the house, so I needed to drink some of it. So, all right. So this week we're gonna run through a bunch of stuff. We're gonna update you on Facebook. It seems to be a common topic every week, and I think it's probably going to be continuous just because there's so much news about it and it's changing a lot. So we're going to talk about Facebook because they just had a big earnings report come out on Wednesday, and that's been kind of on the tip of everyone's mind out in the marketing world. We're also going to take a look at some cool stuff Sweetarts did. They just launched a new integrated ad campaign that I think is pretty interesting to take a look at as an example of how to do something right for Gen Z. So, really, I think that this podcast is designed for people in the small and medium-sized business world, and Sweetarts is not in that world. They're like part of a massive corporation, but I think that you can take a look at that ad that I'm going to show you and derive some lessons from it. And then we'll get an update on some CBD marketing. And this one, I think, CBD marketing and THC marketing is going to be more of my portfolio. I'm going to do a lot more of it because I find it really interesting. And it's like the Wild West in that whole entire market. So there's a lot to be learned about entrepreneurship there. So even if you're not in that market space, you can learn a lot from it, I think. So we'll give an update on that at the end of the broadcast. So, all right. First things first. Let's flip over to, how can I share my screen here? There we go. Screen share. Share. That's the one. Yep. So boom, there you go. First and foremost, Facebook. Last week we were like, yo, Facebook's dying. And the earnings report comes out and Facebook's like, we ain't fucking going anywhere. We're not fucking leaving. They're like the Wolf of Wall Street, like I'm not going home. I'm not leaving. I'm staying. That's the way I picture Mark Zuckerberg right now. But basically, the Facebook shares surge. They come out with 2019 with some dope earnings. They even have a like $3 billion fine from the FTC that they're like, yeah, we're planning for that, and we're still clocking hella revenue. They just come out swinging in the first parts with this like report, right? And I'm not going to spend time like going into details on the report. I'm not a financial dude, or an investment dude. I just think that the update is interesting. That leading up to this report, it's been like Facebook's going down, whatever, and then they come out and they're like, yeah, we're making hella money. On top of that, Facebook Stories grow crazy fast too. They hit 500 million daily users, which is crazy high. And the joke, from The Verge here is like, we can't explain it either. And I think that a lot of marketers were probably thinking the same thing, that Facebook Stories isn't going to be that popular, but, we're wrong. So, Facebook Stories, 500 million, daily users is huge. I think that Instagram Stories hit 500 million daily users in January. So it's likely more now. This is like more than Snapchat, more than WhatsApp, which, kind of have the same story feature. So also, Mark Zuckerberg basically comes out with this right after the earnings report. It's like, oh yeah, we're making money and we got hella stories users. So, my opinion really hasn't changed. I think that Facebook is at kind of like this kind of moment where, let's flip back over to, let's stop presenting here. So I think Facebook is at this kind of time where they're really matured and they're not really growing exponentially. I think they're making more money and certain parts of their platform are doing better. But, I'm not saying Facebook's dead. Same thing I said last week. It's probably the same thing I'm going to say next week. I think that we're at a point where we're going to start to see kind of Facebook falter a little bit. But with news like this, it's like, we ain't going nowhere. What I would say, caveat about Facebook Stories, is that you can advertise your stories. So if you're going to advertise anywhere on Facebook, really anywhere in general, the idea is that you should be advertising to where the audience is. Where, is attention at. And with Facebook, the attention is on stories. And stories is a place where you can advertise. So your placement, you can select that placement on Facebook, and you can go for it. So I would absolutely, all my clients that are advertising on Facebook, we're advertising in stories. If you're thinking about where you're going to advertise in Facebook, I would definitely consider stories as part of that mix. It's a big deal. That's where the attention is. So some more Facebook news for you, and this one's kind of interesting. So let's flip over to it here. I'm the camera guy and the guy in front of the camera here too. So Facebook cracks down on personality quizzes to protect your personal info. So this is coming from USA Today, and they're saying, Facebook is going to start cracking down on these quizzes. And you've probably seen them. It's like, which Game of Thrones character are you, right? That's one of them. Which SpongeBob character are you? Which, I think USA Today says what, fruit decides your personality, or which member of Friends is your spirit animal. Yeah, so these quizzes. And the thing is these quizzes were kind of, one of the ways that the Cambridge Analytica, situation happened. That's how they were getting user info. Or contact details and kind of hacking into stuff is through these quizzes. That's how they were making it work. So Facebook's trying to crack down on that. And the reason I bring it up is because there's actually these companies that exist that were using quizzes, like personality quizzes, as lead gen. So I've used them in the past. I think they're okay, given the right brand and the right message. You could use them to generate leads. I didn't use them a lot. I think it's kind of a fad. That's what I thought back then, and kind of can work. But when you're trying to tell clients about advertising, and you're like, oh, it kind of could work, that never really goes far, right? So these companies that are using these Facebook quizzes to gather leads, I think they're going to run into issues. Facebook's going to start not allowing those ads, because the way it basically works is that you run an ad on Facebook, push to the quiz. flip back over here. That's kind of what they're saying, is that you build a quiz inside this platform. And this is just one I found. What is the name? Try Interact. It's the name of this company. I'm not advocating for or against them. I just found them to show you an example. But here at the end, and this isn't the only people that give you this example, they're like, oh yeah, and just build your Facebook ad and push people to the quiz. So they're not really building a native quiz inside of Facebook. It's more of something on its own website, which is fine, and they help you track and that sort of stuff. And if you had a cool kind of Gen Z, millennial type brand and you wanted to gather leads, I'd say go for it. Let's do it. But now I would advise against it. So if you got a marketing guy that's like, we're going to do quizzes, like, well, get ready for that shit to get blocked, because it's probably going to get blocked. So, all right, next story. Let's take a look at something else. So this one's kind of cool. I've been kind of monitoring what's been going on with voice devices. Google Home is one of them. Google Assistant, Siri, Apple Home, iHome, whatever it is, Alexa, all those. And trying to see when we're going to see monetization come from there, and how we're going to be able to advertise. I'm chomping at the bit for it, because I think it's like really a cool frontier. And, I think a lot of people are paying attention to these home devices, and they're going to be, they're already super popular. So how are we going to be able to advertise? And what's going on is that kind of indirectly through here, Google really hasn't said anything according to search engine land. Google isn't like saying, oh, we're not trying to make ad revenue from Google Assistant or Google Home yet, right now, right? Like, yet. Eventually we're going to, for sure. But what's going on is that what I want to talk to you about is that audio ads on YouTube Music now. So YouTube Music has a free version with it features ads, kind of like Spotify or Pandora, right? And you can listen to YouTube Music through Google Home. So indirectly, you could be advertising to the Google Home via YouTube Music ads. So I do not know if you can select that as a placement in the YouTube ad or in AdWords, because that's how you control these ads, is through AdWords. But I would hope that that is eventually where we're going to go, because I'd love to be able to run an audio ad right through YouTube Music and into the Google Home devices. I think that's real cool. So keep an eye out for it. I'm going to keep an eye out for it. I really want to see how this works. I assume that, advertising through YouTube Music, I did a little bit of searching and didn't find anything directly saying this is how you advertise through YouTube Music. So I'm assuming that it's just through the regular AdWords, because that's how you advertise on YouTube. So these are YouTube ads on YouTube Music. The only difference is that it's just the audio of that video. So let me back up a couple steps. Let me flip off of this thing so that I can, so you can see my beautiful face. So when you advertise on YouTube, you basically have a video that you house on YouTube, and then you go through AdWords and you tell AdWords to place that video in certain places, and you pay for it. You pay for views and you pay for clicks. So I think it's the exact same thing with YouTube Music. You're just paying to run an ad in between music videos. The YouTube Music on the home device has just got to be the audio version of that. So I think that the audio is what's going to come through on those ads. So this is a whole new dimension to YouTube ads. It's audio ads that are available for you now. So you have to be thinking when you're making this video, does this sound good even without the video? And that's why I think that the placement should really be a thing. So if you're trying to run ads through AdWords, and you want to be placed on the Google Home, you should know that placement, because that ad's going to be a little bit different than the video ad. You may design a video that's great, but the audio isn't good enough on its own. So I think that's got to be a thing, and that's probably where we're going to see this happen. That's my guess, is that we're going to be able to make placements through AdWords, and you can run audio ads as part of YouTube Music. That would be real cool, because if you try to run ads right now through Pandora or Spotify, it's fucking expensive. And for the small and medium-sized business company, whatever, it's expensive, dude. And maybe for a large business, it's not that big of a deal, but Pandora would be a great place to advertise your anything, insert service or product here at a local level, but it can be quite pricey. I would see YouTube Music being less expensive. Probably still pretty pricey, you know, compared to other forms of advertising like PPC or display and that sort of stuff. Definitely more than display, but it would be cool to be able to do it at a more affordable rate than Pandora or Spotify. So, all right, let's take a sip of brewski here and keep her moving. Man, that beer is so yummy. Tastes like those Nutter Butters you had, you know, at like school or when you were a kid in your lunchbox or whatever. All right, let's go. Enough about Nutter Butters. Let's talk about Sweetarts. Yeah, so let's flip over to the presentation mode here. Whoosh. Like my sound effect there. Whoosh. All right. Yeah, so Sweetarts looks to win over Gen Z with diversity-driven Be Both campaign. Now, if you look at my previous content on my blog, you go to chrisoverlay.com, you look at my blog, I got some stuff in there where I'm very critical of being political in your advertisements. And I'm still in that stance. I do not think you should be political in your advertisements. You should really steer clear of it, especially when that topic that you're deciding to be political on is split 50-50. Okay, because no matter what you do, you're going to alienate some of your audience, and those are buyers. So, you know, you don't want to alienate the people that are buying from you. Your job should be to try to appeal to as many people as possible within that target, right? So picking a divisive issue and picking one side of a divisive issue is no bueno. Now, Sweetarts, I think, is an example of how to do this particular ad campaign, is an example of how to do this smart, okay? Because Sweetarts speaks to the current kind of divisive environment that we live in right now, especially if you're younger and you're part of this Gen Z generation. And I think they appeal to such a large segment of it without getting political, without, you know, getting overly, virtue signaling or any of that type of stuff. And I would like to show it to you because I think it's a pretty good example of how to do this. They shoot right in the middle of the audience, and it's smart. So, by the way, Duncan Channon is the creative agency that came up with this. The article I'm looking at is on Marketing Dive, but Duncan Channon is pretty well known, right? So they've done stuff for Gap, Citibank, Kettle Brand, StubHub, Nintendo, Kona Brewing. You know, they've got a solid repertoire of creative. I would say that portfolio is pretty legit. So let's see what they can do here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to flip over to YouTube, and I'm going to just full screen this, and let's see if it works. Boom, it's going to work. Dope. And on Instagram, hopefully you can hear. Well, you know, you're not going to really be able to see this. So, you know what? Maybe what I can do here is check this out. Here's what we're going to do on Instagram. Showing. We're going to come here, and we're going to go boom. We're going to flip this thing around, and we're going to play this. And if you're on YouTube, the sound might be a little bit off, but hopefully we're going to find out. Let's check it out. There you go. So, as I was super close to my face there for a second, you guys just got zoomed in on the beard if you're on Instagram. So let's, I don't want to watch any more videos YouTube. Stop it. Stop it. Let's escape out of that. Stop it. How come it just plays? There we go. let's just close out of it, and let's stop screen sharing here and flip back to my face. So here's what I like about the ad. I think that it speaks right to the middle of this populace of people. Okay. And it enters the conversation about this kind of diversity thing that, the truth of the matter is that everywhere you look online, there's always somebody try to speak to, the extreme poles of the audience. It happens especially in political stuff. You know, Gillette jumped in on an issue about, being a man and that sort of stuff. Pepsi jumped in on that kind of issue a while ago. And a lot of brands get into hot water because they kind of say something they really shouldn't say and they piss off, a whole other group of people or whatever. I think Sweetarts is saying, look, we're recognizing that this kind of environment exists. And we're saying, hey, who cares? They're kind of picking a moderate opinion on it. And I think they're going to win. So it's real new. This stuff just launched on like the 23rd, I think. That YouTube video's got like 6 thumbs ups. So it's literally just been announced. But we'll see how it goes. But I do think it's a great example, of how to speak to the moderate part of an audience and still be relevant to the current kind of opinionated climate online. So we'll see what happens. I could be wrong. Maybe they're going to get hazed hardcore. But we'll see. All right. One more story for you guys today. Let's flip over to it. Flipping over to the screen share here. Shoving more. Sound effects. That's what I was going for. And yeah, so here's what's going on in the CBD world. Recently, kind of towards the 20, I don't know why it's all new information now, like in the last week or two, but the FDA basically had a report at the end of 2018 that reclassified CBD. And because of that, it reclassified CBD and hemp as like not Schedule 1 drugs or whatever, kind of like marijuana is. And that's a big deal because it means that advertising is going to change a bit for this stuff because now they're classifying CBD as a supplement. Now, there are regulations there's lots of regulations when it comes to supplements and advertising them. For example, if you're going to try to sell a sleep aid, or any type of supplement, you have to be real careful with how you talk about the benefits of the supplement because you can't make any guarantees. You can't say it cures anything. It's real tricky. You can get, basically, in trouble with the FDA. And the worst case scenario, in the least worst case scenario, Facebook will just stop your ads from running. So will Google. The thing is now with CBD is that it falls into that supplement category, and it kind of opens up this gray zone for advertising. And that's what this article is about. Let me read some of it here. So the Food and Drug Administration has signaled a willingness to consider a potential easing of restrictions in cannabidiol, CBD, as a result of significant pressure by industry groups and members of Congress. But until the legal pathway is clear, companies that market most CBD products must tread carefully. A May 31st public hearing will cover a range of CBD-related topics, including health and safety, manufacturing and product quality, and marketing/labeling/sales. In 2018, the 2018 Farm Bill, signed into law in December 2018, exempts hemp and hemp-derived products, including hemp-derived CBD, from the Controlled Substance Act. In the lead up to the passage of the Farm Bill, there was widespread public confusion as to the extent of the legality of hemp-derived CBD, with many commentators and even some legal experts conflating legality under the CSA with legality under the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act and the state food and drug laws. Advising companies on CBD risk management is challenging due to the rapid pace of developments and frequent confusion caused by often false or misleading online information. The following outlines critical CBD legal risk management issues to watch. So the rest of the article kind of talks about some of these things to read into, maybe take a look at. I'll leave the link in the YouTube video so you can take a look at it if you want to. But essentially what's going on here is that now that this is no longer controlled substance or doesn't fall in that category, how can we advertise about it? Is Google still going to block it? Is Facebook still going to block your advertising for it? And in the short term, I think yes. So there is no news coming out from Google or Facebook saying that they're going to not block this type of advertising, but we're starting to see some strange things happen. So what you seemingly can do on Google for now is advertise hemp. So if it's like hemp products, Amazon allows hemp products on their platform. I would imagine that you could probably get away with a little bit of advertising in that direction. Facebook, I haven't seen anything like that. So I think Facebook's restrictions are tighter. I think that'll be the pattern that we go through until basically, I think Facebook will be like the last one to move on it. If you think about Amazon, Google, and Facebook as the big top three here. But the hemp thing is kind of happening. So if you're in that industry, consider branding these products as hemp. I'm seeing stuff like if you go to Amazon and type in CBD, you'll see like dozens of products that are all hemp gummies, hemp lotion, and they're CBD products. 100% they're CBD products, but they're being marketed as hemp. And they're getting away with it, right? I think that there's also some people that are slipping through the cracks with articles, content that's about CBD, and then using that content piece to springboard into a product. So they're not advertising the product directly on Facebook or Google, and they're kind of pushing content, and that's kind of working. So I think that we're seeing this stuff lighten up. However, this article that I was showing you, the one from JD Supra, as well as a few others that I've been looking at throughout the week, they're all saying that really we're probably years away from real legislation happening. I think what's likely to happen in the short term is that they're going to classify CBD as a supplement, and it's going to fall into all the same regulations as supplements. Supplements in themselves are still hard to advertise on Google and Facebook because they don't want to, the way I think about it is they don't want to sell like miracle cures for this kind of stuff. So they're like, they kind of block it, right? So I had a client come to me and we were looking at advertising like a sleep aid type thing. And, I ended up not working with him because we just couldn't find, he really wanted to do Facebook ads, but that just wasn't possible with that sleep aid because it classifies as a supplement, and that's just one of the banned things. So we'll see. It's an evolving thing. The good news is that things are changing, and I think they're headed in the direction that we all want, at least all of us on the side of being pro CBD and that sort of thing. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right. I think that's going to wrap it up for me today. I'll be back next week. I'll probably have an update on Facebook stuff next week. We'll see what goes down. What else am I looking forward to? Anything coming up in the news? Not that I can think of. So we'll just kind of have a fresh slate next week. I'll probably do the stream early next week because I'm actually out of town on Thursday night and Friday. So either I'll do the stream from wherever I'm at, or I will try to record it earlier in the week and then post it on Friday maybe. We'll figure it out. But all right, that's it for me. I appreciate it, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for checking out my videos. And we will see you next time. So let's end the Instagram. Peace out, Instagram. See ya. Peace out, YouTube. Adios.